Watching series and films on Netflix has been one of the most enjoyable and useful things that I've done over the last year to help me improve my Spanish. So in this video, I wanted to share with you guys a few of the kind of tips and tricks and things like that that have helped me along the way to optimize this method and use this method to actually learn. Okay, so first of all, I just want to reaffirm that it's important to understand that you're not going to understand everything, especially when you first start. The goal with watching a series in order to improve your language skills, your understanding, and eventually your speaking, things like that, is not to understand everything that happens in the show. The goal is to be able to watch the show and follow, or the film, and follow the main thread, the main kind of storyline. You're going to miss little details here, you might miss kind of entire sections and little things like that, but if you can follow the main thread, like the main point of the story, then that's the most important thing. And what happens is with time, with repetition, the more you expose yourself to the content, the more opportunities you'll give yourself to assimilate some of these extra details. You will start to see some of these words that you don't recognize in various contexts, in various situations, some easier to understand than others, but over time your brain will construct a deeper understanding of what that means. And even though it sounds a little bit weird and it's a little bit surprising, even without having looked up a lot of words, you will start to pick up lots more new vocabulary. The main reason for this is because language learning, like most things, falls generally under the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 principle, for those of you that know it better that way, which in short is just to say that the vast majority of the words that you would hear used in normal daily conversation in any given language only uses a small percentage of the actual words available in that language. Short version of that is to say that you are going to see a lot of words repeated a lot of times. So the fact that you don't pick up everything straight away is not the problem. What we need to do is be consistent to expose ourselves to the content, to expose ourselves to a variety of content and to expose ourselves consistently over ideally a long period of time. So how can we make the content a little bit more comprehensible? Okay, so there's a couple of things that I do here. The first thing is to look up a summary of the show, or the episode, before I watch it. So I look up a summary in English, or whatever your native language is, just to get a bit of an idea, a bit of an understanding as to what is going to be happening, what the main kind of themes of the episode are going to be. And by having that understanding, I go into the show already being able to guess essentially that at this point they're kind of talking about this subject, at this point they're talking about this subject. Between having an understanding of the basic plot of the show and then obviously being able to see the things that happening alongside hearing the actual language, you're going to be able to understand a lot more than you would necessarily think beforehand. Again, doesn't mean you're going to be able to pinpoint every single word. You can translate every single word and every single phrase, but you're going to know that after this altercation, this person talked to this person about this subject. And when you're starting out, that's enough. The second thing that you can do, or a separate thing that you can do along these same lines, is instead of looking at what's going to happen in the episode that you're about to watch, you could just preempt that and already know, which is to say, watch things that you've already watched in your native language. More recently, I've been watching an American show called Community, which is a show that I've watched before in English. And I found it was really cool and really helpful because obviously I knew the storylines, I knew kind of what was going to happen. And so I was able to kind of pick up a few new kind of words and new phrases because they're kind of translations, right, of the original that's written in English. And so some phrases or some ideas that maybe might pop into my head in English that I would struggle to translate into Spanish, I got access to some of those things. But again, it was just easier in general just to follow the main thread. That also makes it a lot more enjoyable, which is another key part of this process. If you find watching shows in a foreign language on Netflix really boring, really hard, and really tiring, this isn't going to work out very well for you, right? Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is subtitles. Should you use subtitles and how should you utilize subtitles? I have seen some people say that having the subtitles on in the target language even is a bad idea. People say that you can learn to rely on reading rather than actually listening too much, so your listening comprehension doesn't improve even though you think it does. I can't say that that's been my experience, but I can understand that. I am a believer in the subtitles and the use of subtitles. I personally think it's a much better idea to have the subtitles in the target language. For me, if I'm watching a show in Spanish, for example, and then I've got the subtitles in English, obviously I can understand what's happening because I'm seeing it, I'm reading it, I'm understanding, but I find it very hard to understand how my brain would kind of make those links between the Spanish word and the English word, because sometimes they don't match up, like in the structure. They don't match up word for word. The grammar is different in Spanish to in English, and so for me I find it hard to recognize like how that would work effectively. So I like to have the subtitles in Spanish, in the target language, for two main reasons. The first is what I've just said about, so we'll skip that. The second is because having the subtitles in the target language means that you are able to read the words and hear how they're pronounced by native speakers at the same time. And I think it's that has really helped me to improve my understanding, to allow me to be able to understand a large part of what native speakers say, even when they're speaking, quite naturally, is because I've given my brain the opportunity to learn how these words look when they're written, how they sound where they're speaking, what are the kind of differences and the discrepancies between those two. And that knowledge helps me to kind of pass these different sounds a lot better. Obviously, for some people, this idea seems a little bit kind of too difficult or a little bit too intimidating, because they think, well, if my vocabulary is not very good in Spanish, how am I going to understand words that I've never seen before? Well, firstly, you would be surprised as to how much you will pick up through context, because context is a lot more important than maybe we give it credit for understanding. It's not just about, translation of a word. But the second thing we can do is look at a really cool tool that's become really popular recently that's helping a lot of people to learn languages watching Netflix. So what I'm talking about is a free Google Chrome extension that's called Language Learning with Netflix. In its simplest form, you can just use it to have subtitles in the target language, and you can click on the word and it will bring up like a translation in your native language. But it also has some extra features, like for example, you can choose to have not just one line of subtitles if you'd like, but you can have 2 lines of subtitles. So for example, you could have the main subtitles in the target language in Spanish, and then I could have smaller subtitles below that were in my native language, that are in English. I could also choose to have some of the subtitles blurry, like they're covered over, until I hover the mouse over them, and then it shows me what it is. So maybe I have the subtitles in Spanish, they're clear, and then I have the subtitles in English, but they're blurry. So I have an opportunity to see if I can understand it in Spanish first, and then if I can't, I can go down to the English, I can check what the full meaning is, and then I can look up any words and different things like that. So yeah, I just wanted to mention this application, again, that's completely free, that you can use, again, to just help make everything a little bit more comprehensible and a little bit more easy to understand and a little bit more effective. Obviously, if you just sit in front of TV shows for long enough, you'll start to understand more. But if there are ways that you can make this process easier and more effective, then of course that's going to be better for you. So basically that's what I wanted to make this video about, is just to try and talk a little bit about a few of the things that I've done that I think have helped me to optimize this process a little bit more so I can get more out of it. But as always, I'm always really interested to hear about you guys and your experiences with learning languages. So if you've used Netflix to learn a language, or you're currently using Netflix to learn a language, let me know how you've done it in the comments below. I'm always interested to hear. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you again to all of you guys that are supporting the channel so far, that have subscribed. It's really, really cool to see, and hopefully you're going to enjoy all of the future videos. So yeah, click that subscribe button, leave me a comment below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Hasta luego.